Hey folks, welcome back. Today it's all about digging for a view, and I'm going to be showing you how with the help of a few machines and tools we took our view from looking like this out of our windows to something a bit more picturesque. Stick around, let's make a start. Hey folks, it's a lovely miserable day, and it's another day of me not actually doing the DIY and faking it, and I've called in some favours. So I've got Craig here, and this time Craig's doing all the heavy lifting, or his machine is at least, and we're trying to lift out a few of the sleepers that go along our cabin, so we've got a bit of a view, a bit more natural light. And also this is access for our little market garden bit that we're going to be growing around the corner anyway, so we need this for access so we don't have to go in and out of the field. So you can see here, this is the concrete sleepers, railway sleepers that are slotted into the steelwork. And we realised if we take off two of these, it comes down to sill height of the building, so we actually end up with a view out over the top. So this fence is going to be replaced anyway, because we want to put it the other side of these trees, and we've got a little hedge to go in here anyway. So we're not too fussed that we're having to bank it against. I just haven't got time today to be bringing around the dumper and doing it all in one hit. Plus I haven't worked out exactly where we want this soil. It's really decent stuff and it'll grade out nicely anyway. Of course Craig's got his fancy Encon wristy attachment on, which we used last year when we did the brook crossing. You can see when they built the silage plant, they put plastic up the back side of it before they backfilled. I guess just to stop it silting through and stop, soil contamination or whatever coming through and leaching through from the silage. So we're going to leave that in place. I can trim it back. See over there, that grab is what he's managed to get the first sleepers off that are lying down there. So instead of me needing to get the tractor in, which would have meant taking down this fence, he's getting over at full reach and lifting off those sleepers. And now those sleepers, we don't know how heavy they are, but they're a good couple 100 kilo at least. sun is finally out and it's feeling a bit spring-like, and you might be able to tell we've got more skies going on. The pylons are down, the overhead stuff is all gone, National Grid have just left, they've been here all week, and now we're busy clearing the rest of the bank. This is all backfill anyway, so we're basically returning it to what it was before, which was field level before these silage clamps were dug out. Really nice soft soil, really nice and sandy, so we're going to be digging this up. Dad's using the tractor, I'm loosening it with the digger. We'll move it all. We're just going to fill dips over here. Joe's sorting out some wildflower planting here, so we're going to smooth out the hollows. That will create a nice path, well, track actually, because we're able to drive a small tractor up that comes up here through a gate over here somewhere and into the garden, because this fence will go all the way up and intersect there. Might have another gate there as well. Now it's time to fess up and give you an idea of timescale, because when that was filmed, doing that work was probably May, and I think that was just ahead of getting all of the overhead power lines taken down and a bunch more work that has kind of already been shown in videos. So if that confused you, then fair enough, because it confused me going back and editing it. But we thought we'd share it because it was quite an interesting one, quite interesting seeing the kit that Craig had and getting it transformed. So here's what it looks like now. Well, it's green for a start, and it's level and flat, which is what this field once would have been before the silage clamps were dug in. So we've gained this. We have got that nice bit along there ready to put the hedging in. The fruit trees we can now look after a little bit easier because they're not in with stock. And of course we've got this bit here with the wall, so we've got a view. We're going to face this wall. I'll explain how we're going to do that quickly. So yes, we have created the better view from the cabin, which is great, but of course now we've exposed the side of these sleepers, which is not so great. It's not the end of the world, but we have a couple of options, and one of which is to weld some angle brackets on here. So I'll probably end up doing one nearish the top and one down the bottom, just a bit of steel angle. And then what we can do is fix a couple of rails. So there'll be a rail running on the outside of each steel along, and then I can just board. I've just got a load of offcuts of boards. I've got the cedar boards and things that I've used on cladding elsewhere, and we can just do some vertical board all the way along. And then depending on what we decide to do with this in the future, we can take those off and reuse them or whatever. It means then we can grow along this wall, and it just looks a little bit nicer, and it'll all silver down like the cabin will. Hello, I know it's raining. And there should be enough of width here that we're able to drive up and down with a tractor, dumper, trailer, whatever we need to, and still have a bit of a growing space against that wall. So once the cladding's in, we can look at putting some beds along there. Then at the far end here, which is where we will end up creating this access, we've got this steel post here in the corner. That's as strong as any gate post is ever going to be. So we can get a bolt-on fixing or a weld-on there and down the bottom, and I'll hang the gate onto there. The slammer is this post here, so we've got a nice 10-foot opening. That'll be closed off within the hedge, but the hedge will cover it up in the future. And then once I've ripped out all of this, flattened it all out, then we'll have access through to the market garden, veg garden area up here. Not sure how much of this we filmed, a fair bit of it I think, and it will at some point be on the DIY farm channel. But we got 18 tons or so of compost, and we started this big no-dig garden, probably 5 times bigger than the previous section last year. But we just haven't got the time to manage it. It was a bit silly to think we could manage. Joe did say, I didn't listen. But there we go. We're gonna try and get a handle on this before winter, so we can start off next year in a good place. But we've only managed to probably make use of, I don't know, 1/8 of the area. All these beds are okay-ish. The beds over in the corner, we've grown a lot of potatoes. We've probably had about 200 kilo out of there already. And then at the far end there's another 5 or 6 tons of compost, so that will be ready to redistribute. And now we've got this access, we can start bringing things up once we've ripped out the fencing. Gates in there ready to go. The gates are in down the bottom as well, and if you haven't seen that video, then I'll link to that at the end, because we've now got double gates, timber gates, which look great going out to the top paddock. Really pleased with how that's worked. So all of this is going to get shifted. We'll plant up the hedges this autumn, which is going to be nice. It's a lot of hedging, and at some point there will be a date in the diary that we'll put out in case anyone wants to come and do a weekend on the farm, or a day on the farm. One or two weekends in November I think we're going to be looking to do it, and we'll put on a bit of an event here. So if people are interested in that, keep an eye out, because we'll have a bit of a farm open day I think. Now, one thing I didn't show you is the before and after of the views out the window. Rather than going back and trawling through footage to find a before, I'll show you what it's like out the lounge window on the one end, which we don't really mind about because the blinds are normally down. So there you go, that's what every single window in the cabin was like when we first built it, and now this is a view from the others. I know the burning question, and the comments are going to be coming in, why haven't I got on and clad this cabin? The truth is I'm running a long-term trial for the membrane manufacturer. It's not actually, I just haven't got around to it yet. It's fine, it's holding up just fine. Remember, that wood fibre board behind the membrane is really resilient as well. But you'll be pleased to know that I have started the cladding. I'll give you a very quick glimpse. There's one end, and I've also started on the tongue and groove down the other side. And that will probably be in the videos in the next coming weeks, so bear with me. That's the rainy afternoon update on the digging for a view. I'm really pleased with that improvement. It was a good thing to do, and it's one of those things that it made a lot of mess. It had to be done the right time of year so that we could get all that seeded, and you know, you wouldn't even know it's happened now. And the soil, I was able to fill in a lot of dips and low spots around the paddock. Obviously Joe planted all that wildflower on that side, which came up great, especially in that bare soil, and also it's a lot easier to mow now on top and everything now that all those big ruts are taken out. There's a little bit more to sort, but you know, it's on a lawn, it's just easier to maintain when it's smooth. So we'll crack on, get all that sorted. The top field's gonna have to have a lot of work as well, but hopefully we'll be able to share that on the other channel. I'll leave it there. Big thanks to Craig for giving me a hand getting all of that moved and lifted out with his gear back in the spring. And now we are almost ready to go into winter with a bit of organisation. Thanks for watching. Remember, if you can, do it yourself, and we'll see you next time.